Hey folks, my name's Dom and this is Bfly Bricks, and in today's video, this is my mock of Luke's crash site on Dagobah, and I did this one on one of those 48x48 grey base plates for my next convention in January. I'm doing a few Star Wars themed settings for my display, and I've always wanted to do Dagobah ever since I got the 2018 set 75208. As a representation of Yoda's hut, it's not very accurate, but it was cool and it had really good minifigures, especially the mucky R2-D2. I never had the old Luke's X-Wing with Yoda's hut back in the day, but that was quite a good build and it looked more accurate actually than the 2018 version. And with the new Diorama version, I have to be honest, I do love the tree build at the back of the hut, but the hut's just not quite right. It's definitely the wrong colour. And yeah, it's cool to include the wing of Red 5, but like, what's going on? This is so wrong. Yoda's hut is not next to the X-Wing crash site at all. So yeah, I get they just want to make a cool wee scene, but it's totally wrong, man. Anyways, Dagobah is such a cool place. You know what, the original concept art by Ralph McQuarrie is fantastic and really sets the scene. It's almost like Lord of the Rings, and I personally love this bit of Empire Strikes Back. To me, it's the most unexpected location to find the Jedi Knight, and that's kind of the point. It's such a gross place, but that's kind of its beauty as well. It's like a Force planet, and Luke is pretty much stuck here as his X-Wing is in the swamp. It's just a great part of the story of the development of his character. And you can clearly see Red 5 is partially sunk just meters from the shoreline of the swamp, and there aren't many large trees nearby at all. It's like an avenue of trees which are set a fair distance from the crash site. So this is what I ended up doing instead of Yoda's hut itself, as I want to try and be accurate, and actually Luke's wee camp is quite interesting in itself, especially given the size of the X-Wing. And where on earth was he storing all this stuff? As the storage hatch is on the underside of the X-Wing, how did he get it out? So I made sure in my mock to include all the storage boxes, the power supply and the lamp, and they're all positioned accurately according to the scene. It was fun building the wee boxes, but I did have to be mindful not to make them too big. The best bit though was doing the swamp. I love doing water and using trans clear tiles. It's such a polished look in LEGO for me, and adding bits of swamp poking through the surface was cool as well. I really enjoyed building it. I actually watched the documentary of the making of The Empire Strikes Back to get more of an idea of what the set looked like at Elstree Studios in England. And so like using this and shots from the movie, I figured out the shape of the shoreline and the position of Luke's camp, which is just a few meters from the shoreline itself. It must have been so interesting and challenging for the cast and crew to work on the real set with real practical vehicles and background effects and all that kind of stuff. Quite different from today's over-reliance on CGI. One of the key features of my mock is the wing section of Red 5. I did go for a slightly reduced scale of the wing, but still used two wings with two full-size laser cannons and one of the main engines protruding at the back. The bottom laser cannon sits underneath a tile and it looks really realistic, I think. And you know, it's easier doing this more sunken X-Wing, as I really didn't want to have to put in the nose and all that. And of course, in the scene later on, it does sink quite low and Yoda performs the first truly epic on-screen showcase of the power of a Jedi when he lifts it out of the water after Luke's try to do it attempt. Do or do not, there is no try being one of the most memorable lines in the whole movie. Now I keep things simple, using a good old fashioned Mixel's joint to position this at an angle with some slopes underneath. Dead easy. Nothing complicated, and the water around the submerged nose is intentionally lighter in colour to show what's just under the surface. I used trans clear blocks topped with tiles, whereas the rest of the water is done with the smoky colour trans tiles on top of brown and tan plates underneath. This cross section can show you the layers I did. I used plates rather than blocks, as I don't have that many brown bricks actually, and I don't want to waste brown bricks underneath, as I have loads of plates instead. I did use black and blue bricks in other areas to make it darker looking, and I gradually went lighter in colour as I got closer to the shoreline with a sort of sandy effect right at the edge. The clear tiles actually go quite far into the shoreline, you can't see it, obviously it's sitting on top. I use jumper plates to attach the curved tan pieces that make up the edge of the shore, and that way there's a seamless tiled surface for the swamp. The foliage was a fun wee challenge to do. I only ended up putting 2 trees that are quite low on the edge here because the shoreline doesn't have many trees at all, it's really further in from the side, and the rest is made up of olive, brown and tan coloured parts. There's layers of curved tan and green plates which make up the surface, and I've crammed it with leaves, unfurled ferns and those large brown spider legs from Harry Potter sets. They're kind of like vines reaching into the water. I really like this water effect. Another fun thing to do was the animals. I added several crabs, baby velociraptors, scorpions, hedgehogs, owls and snakes. In fact, I remember the various real snakes that are in the scene, and later on, Luke removes one from the engine of the X-Wing. You know, the whole encounter with Yoda, it's so short, but he's so funny, it still makes me laugh when I watch the movie. I love it when he hits R2 with the stick. It's just like he's like he's in the Muppets. So I've recreated this scene. Luke has his food in one hand and his blaster in the other. And here's Yoda hitting R2. Funny little guy. The edge of the forest here incorporated so many techniques and bits of olive coloured wedge pieces, I crammed it full of foliage. You know, for a cheap Lego set, these minifigures are just the best, and I got this set in the sale back in 2019 for like £12. What a great deal that was, especially the Luke figure, he's so different. I've given Yoda a wee stick, which is obviously a Harry Potter wand, it's quite a good use of that part. And I've used a silver chrome coloured blaster for Luke, just so it stands out a bit more. And his alternate face is just brilliant, the meditation one, it's cool. For the camp itself, I used a few chrome pieces to make it really stand out, having this technology look so out of place in a grimy swamp. In future, I certainly will make Yoda's hut on a separate MOC, and that will include tall trees, but for now I think this really stands out compared to the official Diorama set and some other MOCs I've seen, and I've seen some fantastic ones, but they all have Yoda's hut right next to the shore with the X-Wing, so I kind of feel I've made something a wee bit more accurate to the crash site, which includes Luke's camp too, which I don't think I've ever seen anyone else do, so quite happy with how it turned out. What's also unusual for me and my channel is that this MOC has no play features. It's a bit like my micro cities, it's just a representation of something. However, when I do come to do the Yoda's hut MOC, I will incorporate some play features, especially the interior and the large tree above the hut itself. And hopefully I can get it all done in time for my first convention of 2023, which is in January. So instead of buying a mega overpriced diorama set, which doesn't even show the scene correctly, you can pick one of those older sets up on eBay for £20. Get some foliage and tiles and you can do it yourself. If you liked this MOC, then look out for the Yoda's hut video when I get round to it. Oh, and give the video a like while you're at it. Anyways, thanks so much for watching until the end. I really do appreciate it, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye!